When I say hey, you say ho. Hey, ho, hey, ho. When I say Mike, you say Reilly. Mike, Mike, Reilly. Now anybody and everybody scream. It's breakfast with Bob.
Poncho Man. We're brought to you by HOKA Polar, Halo Neuroscience, Velofix. Today's planned Normatec Four Seasons Resort, Hualalai, Triathlete magazine, and we're beautiful. Huggo's on the rocks with me. The legend, the myth, the Ironman Hall of Famer, the USA Triathlon Hall of Famer, the voice of Ironman. Give it up for Mr. Mike Reilly. So,
What?
You've been busy writing a little bit? Well, you
Yeah,
got a
there's
book
been
coming out? Come on now.
A lot of printed words to the page.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
How hard has that been? Because when you look at basically telling the story of you, all the finishers, just what what it means to you, what it means to them to come across that line, that's like a 20,000-page book.
Yeah, it's a hard process.
Yeah.
You know, I like you, I can sit there and tell a story, but when you put it in print, you want to convey the same message and the same passion,
Right.
and the same emotion that person has told me. It's not easy.
Right.
So you read it over and over again, you write it over and over again, and you try to get it so it does honor to that age grouper that went through some unbelievable things to get to the finish line.
So when did you decide it's time?
Well, Bob, I have to tell you, I have it in writing because it was about 15, 16 years ago. You sent me a note and you said, Reilly, you got to write a book. And I'm thinking, I don't have enough for a book. But that was always in the back of my head, you know, because people just telling me stories after story. I know their backstories, and I felt it was motivating and inspiring me all these years, and I thought it'd be an injustice not to tell other people about those stories. Why keep them to myself? So.
What always amazing, we talk about the endurance it takes to do an Ironman, right? But you always blow me away because you're talking 17 hours, 18, because you do before the race, and sometimes people finish after 17 hours, we know, and you're doing how many a year now?
There'll be a dozen this year, Ironman.
A dozen?
Yeah, it's kind of on the edge because it's not, if I could just be transformed to the event, before and after, instead of all the travel and the tougher things to
preparation
in preparation to get to an event. But I'm not complaining. I mean, each Ironman is still like my first. This is like my first Kona.
Really?
I just feel it. It's in my blood, and I want to make sure that some people's best memories about ready to come, not the ones that have already happened.
You know, it's interesting. You always hear from the great athletes. You know, every night is important because there's somebody who's never seen them before, right? You know, Willie Mays and Michael Jordan. Those guys talk about that. For you, there's a lot of times, especially this race, it might be somebody's one and only time, and it's as important to you to get them across the line as it is for them to come across the line.
Well, I think the worst travesty of life is to not be recognized, especially when you do something great in your life. Sure, you don't want somebody, you aren't doing it for the praise, you're doing it just to be recognized, and I and others have the honor to be able to recognize that finisher, let the world know that they're an Ironman, and those words alone seem to all of a sudden make them wholer than they were when they were at the start line.
Right.
And story after story, they just become whole. They become healed. Some become healed. Some come out of depression. Some are not going to commit suicide. It's that deep.
It is that deep.
Ironman actually saves people's lives.
No question about it. It's a cathartic sport. We just had Kathleen McCartney sitting here, and you were part of that story with Mike Levine and watching a guy with pancreatic cancer get here to the starting line. Sometimes that starting line
is the win.
Just getting here and getting off the couch. So back in '89 was the first time you were here?
Yes.
Iron War year?
Yes.
Let's start out with the greatest race in the history of the event.
It's amazing because I was getting the splits. You know, there was no internet or anything from the spotters out there, and I thought on the run, and I go, these guys they're getting everything wrong. They can't be doing a 5:46, a 5:48, cranking out miles like that. I was a 2:40 marathoner. I knew it. I go, there's no way. That's not happening. But the splits just kept coming in, and I go, we got something special going on out there.
Right. And especially when the course record was 8:28.
Yeah.
And these guys are going nearly 20 minutes under that. So you guys are probably scrambling at the finish going, we better get ready These guys are coming a little early.
It was actually on some of the run aid stations there, only 3 or 4 volunteers there instead of 8 or 9 because they had a time schedule.
Right.
But Mark and Dave beat their time schedules all day long.
By 15 minutes. Yeah, right. So they weren't ready. So you start with that. You start with the greatest race of all time. And how has the race changed from your perspective over this last, 30 years?
Well, a lot of things have changed with technology and nutrition, but to me, it hasn't changed.
Yeah.
The cannon goes off. It's still swim, bike, run, the exact same distances. People have to get themselves through it. There's no help. They get to the finish line on their own. They have to prepare on their own. That hasn't changed. When that cannon goes off on Saturday morning, the same dreams are going to come true that came true in '89 and '78. So that's why people always ask me, how's the sports changed? So we can talk about numbers and all the logistics. And to me, it's still one pure swim, bike, and run on a day that is going to be, for most people, the best day of their lives.
You've been at so many different Ironmans around the world, but there is something special here. It's a world championship, yes, but there's more to it. This island, there's just something very, very unique. What is it that makes this island and this race so special?
It's where the world comes to meet in our sport. It's the culmination. It's the Mecca. It's the top of the hill. But I always keep in mind that whether I'm at Lake Placid or next year in Ireland or whether I'm going to be in New Zealand, for some people, that's their Kona.
No question.
And that's why every Ironman event to me is a Kona event. People ask me, what's your most favorite Ironman? I go, the one I'm at. Because it has to be. It's the culmination of so many people's lives to be there, and some can't get here to Kona. So Lake Placid or New Zealand may be their Kona.
Exactly. A number of years ago, you were at Ironman Arizona, and your son Andy was doing the race. I can't imagine you not getting a little emotional watching your boy come across that finish line and getting to call him across the finish line.
I've called a lot of friends and people, but when you've got someone who was 3 years old when I started to come at you, and he's coming down, and mom's there, my wife and his big sister, and yeah, it was tough. I told Tom Ziebart, who was working with me, I go, Tom, if somebody's in the chute with my son, and I've never said this, I go, I don't think I'll be able to take care of that guy. So you got to get him, because I ain't going to get him. I got my boy coming.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. And sure as shooting, the guy was coming in like 20 feet before him, and Tom got him, and then I brought Andy in, and it was emotional, exhilarating, a culmination of maybe as parents we did something right.
Right.
And maybe he'll pass that along to his kids. What more could you ask for?
Had you ever thought that you wanted to do one of these one day?
More people want me to do one than I think I want to do one.
Totally. I'm the same way.
It's interesting. My Ironman, to not have done one yet, I think it keeps me in awe of what everybody's doing. So it comes out.
Yeah, that's true.
And if I do it, I'll do it when I want to do one. But I like being, on this thing more than, I train maybe like I do one, but I don't have to do the stress of race day. How great is that?
How much prep goes into an Ironman in terms of before this race, it's in October, when do you start prepping? Because people are qualifying all year long.
About a month ago, it's because I've got other races leading up to this. A lot of the prep is with the professionals because there's so many.
Yes.
And the resumes are huge. When I do a Ironman someplace else, there may be 7 or 8 pros. Well, here we've got 100 and whatever.
Yeah.
And then I look through, I read through the age group bios 5 or 6 times. I read the names. It's not like I memorize them, but when all of a sudden they come up on race day, I may recall, oh, that one's got a story, or I pronounce the name as correct as possible, that type of thing. So there's a bit of preparation I just want to recognize what I'm seeing on that screen in front of me on race day.
So when we look at the great stories over the years, and you've been intimately involved when John Blazeman came here, right? And we watched a gentleman with ALS who we didn't know if he was going to get to that finish line, but you spent time with him beforehand. I remember him saying, what are you going to do when you come across the finish line? He says, well, when Mike Reilly is calling me across, I might have to have him help me log roll my sorry ass across the line, right? And he did. He started something that day when he got down and he log rolled. Next thing you know, the Blazeman roll became part of the Ironman.
And it's interesting because John came across and ran and hugged Mom, Bob, and Marianne, and high-fived. And all of a sudden, he looked at me, and I think he remembered the roll, and he went back and rolled. I go, oh, yeah, he said he was going to roll if he had to, and it became, you know. That's why I want people, the title of the book is Finding My Voice. It's not me finding my voice. It's them finding the voice at that finish line that is going to let them know that they're a champion for the rest of their lives, not just on Saturday, and their life is going to change. And the best part about that is those people, hopefully, will change other people's lives. It just is if the world could be an Ironman event, we'd be a much better place to be in.
All these countries get along.
Oh,
everybody is happy. So when I was reaching out to some people, just saying, hey, tell me a little bit about what it meant to you to have Mike Reilly call you across the line. I reached out to actor Sean Astin from Rudy, reached out to Hines Ward, and what they said was amazing, right? Just how it changed their lives. Here's Hines Ward, Super Bowl MVP, going out and getting an Ironman tattoo and leading into the last number of miles, and he could hear your voice. And in his training, all he thought about was Mike Reilly is going to call me an Ironman. I mean, does it surprise you when people who have accomplished so much in their lives, it means the world to them to have your impact on their life?
I don't, it's me, but I those 4 words, they just mean so much to people. And when I hear somebody like Hines or anybody, a 60-year-old grandmother from wherever tell me that, it's an honor to be able to be the one that throws it out to them, or anybody else in the world that throws it out to them, because we're giving them something. And I think one of the best things you can do in life is make somebody else happy.
Absolutely.
Or happier. And if we do that, what more could we ask for? And I get to see the looks on the faces when I say it, and I can't look at long at some that are crying because I go, okay, don't go there, because and then I'll see a macho guy come across and he's got this scowl on his face, and we say the words to him, and I'm going, hey, smile, and they, oh yeah, it's just it's an honor to be able to do it, and I was lucky to be the first one to do it, and now others are doing it, which I think are fantastic, and I just want them to find the finish line, find that voice that's there for them, and one of the biggest reasons for the call too is to their family and friends who have been putting up with them all these months to be an Ironman, and want to hear it as bad as that athlete does.
If you're out there, how many people are racing, by the way? So, Mike, what might they hear when they come across the finish line?
What are you talking about?
What might they hear?
Well, you know what they're. I don't say it off. I don't say it unless it's at a finish line. It's sacred,
I tell people all the time.
I don't wake up in the morning,
The best part is people come up to me all the time and go, hey, you called me across the line in Lake Placid. And I'm like, give me $20, I'll call you across right now. You are an Ironman. I'll say it right now. Give me $20. How about a round of applause to Mr. Mike Reilly?
Here we go, everybody. When I say Mike, you say Reilly. Mike, Reilly. Mike, Reilly. When I say breakfast, you say with Bob. Breakfast with Bob. Breakfast with Bob. Breakfast with Bob.